If you have said to yourself, I should write that, or if someone has said to you, you should write that, then I'm talking to you because you need to write. And that's why you're tuned in to Why Write. Hi, I'm your host, Angela Grout. Welcome to another episode of Why Write, where we're talking to writers about why they're writing, what they're writing, and how they wrote it. And today I am super excited. I have a guest on my show who is a fellow tap dancer like me, and she's a biographer. She has long loved classic films, particularly musicals, and she has written the biography of Eleanor Powell. And it's called Born to Dance. She co-wrote it. Her co-writer is Paula Broussard. Her name is Lisa Royère, and she's right here on the screen, as you can see. We're not going to do this in French, but she's fluent in French, and she has done translation and editing work in the United States and in France, where she lived for 25 years. Currently, she's in Arizona, and she's traveling cross country because, get ready for this, she is presenting this Eleanor Powell story in Springfield, Massachusetts, which is literally the town next to me, and it's where I also started dancing. And why is she doing it there? Because that is where Eleanor Powell is from. So she will be presenting this on Thursday, May 28th, 2026, at the Hope Center. We're going to talk to her about that and lots of other things, especially about writing as a biographer. So I want to welcome her to the show and just say hello, Lisa. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
Oh, I'm so excited to talk tap, but as a writer, I'm really excited to talk about your writing process. So I want to know, first of all, where are you right now? Because I know that you're en route to Springfield, and at least this time of year, and you are from Arizona, but where are you?
Well, right now I'm near Lexington, Kentucky. As you know, it takes a few days to drive from Arizona to Springfield. And right now I'm near my publisher in Lexington, Kentucky.
Nice. So wow, we have lots to talk about here. When did you? So let me talk to Lisa about Lisa. When did you start beginning to write? And did you always write biographies? Like, how did you get into writing?
Well, it's been a very long process for me. When I first began to show an interest in classic films, I was struck by Eleanor Powell and her talent. And she is the one who made me want to write. And I realized that she was one of the best dancers ever. She's up there with Fred Astaire and Gene Kelly. And when That's Entertainment came out that showed film clips, and that's how I got to know of her work, I realized there wasn't anything about her. So my friend, my co-writer, Paula Broussard, and I both at that time, we were teens, and we said, we want to write a book. And so,
When
yeah,
you were teenagers.
yes, late teens, we
Oh,
decided that there needed to be a book on Eleanor Powell, and we were the ones who were going to write it. But the book that we had envisioned at that time is completely different from what ended up now. It was more like a films of Eleanor Powell book. Those were very popular in those days. And it consisted of lots of still photographs and a little biography. So it wasn't, and then, blurbs about the movies themselves.
yeah.
So
I
it
mean,
was
Eleanor
completely
Powell,
different.
for the audience who doesn't know, I mean, obviously her picture's behind you, which is the cover of your book, but she was, an extremely talented and kind of world famous tap dancer, but she was in the golden age era with, in all these great films. And I mean, we're talking back in, I want to say the 40s, right?
The 30s. She
30s.
started in the 30s. Her first big hit was in 1936.
Okay. And, she danced, I know, I mean, because I know a little bit more about her from talking to you and just about her, dancing until, the mid 1960s. So how did you know Eleanor? How did you find out about her? Because, it's like, I know famous people, but I read about them and I know you have a special connection.
Well, I grew up in Hollywood and I saw That's Entertainment. And at that point, there was no VHS, there was no DVD, there was nothing. If you wanted to see some of the old films, it was either in the middle of the night on TV and they were all cut up, or you could go down to an old theater that might be running a retrospective of those films. And so after That's Entertainment came out, that became really popular. It was like a nostalgia craze. And so I saw her and I said, oh, I want to meet her so bad. And I kept actually missing her. And I went to this old theater called the Gary Theater, and they were showing two of her films. They had over a 3 week period, two different or three different bills. And so I talked to the manager and I said, oh, I'm so glad that you're showing these. They really need to be seen. I love her. I wish I could meet her. And he goes, oh, she was here last night.
Oh,
And I said, oh, no, I missed her again. So he said, but never fear. She's coming back next week and we're having a birthday party for her. So I came back, of course, the
so you
next week
crashed the
and
birthday party.
oh, well, I mean, it was an open birthday party for anybody who bought a ticket for the movie. So I went to that, and then I had an opportunity to speak with her, and we talked for about 30 minutes, and she was so open and outgoing, and she invited me. She said, you should come to my house and see some of my dance film clips. And I'm like, okay, that would be great. So over the course of the next few years, we became friends and very close. She was sort of like a second mother to me. So this book is really an important um, uh, book for both me and for Paula, because we knew her, we loved her, and we really wanted her legacy to live on because her talent was extraordinary, but even more, she was an extraordinary person.
Yeah, that is beautiful. And I'm sorry for your loss. I know she has, obviously moved on to the bigger sky stage. Um, when did so she knew you wanted to write this biography. She was good with
She
you.
did, and she was very sweet about it, considering how young we were. And she would talk to me and give me information, but I'm not sure. Half of me thinks that she knew it would happen someday, and the other half thought she was saying, "Oh, I'm going to encourage these girls, but I don't know if it'll happen." Because at that time, it was like impossible to get somebody to publish a book like that. The only types of books on celebrities or golden age celebrities were that sold or that were interested any of the publishers were those who were very scandalous. She didn't have a scandalous life, so and nor would we have wanted to write about that.
I mean, the only thing that I think I would find a little scandalous, and it's not really, is the fact that she intimidated Fred Astaire. Like
Well, yeah.
things like that, like
She modestly would say, oh, he's the greatest. And she did love him, absolutely loved him, and the opportunity to work with him. But I think that she was such a hard worker that I think she totally exhausted him during the process because they did their own choreography, both of those two. And they had a lot of numbers in the film that they did together. So it was overwhelming.
Yeah, I mean, it's just amazing at what her talent is. That I mean, I've been a dancer since the age of 2, and it's like I've learned through my teachers, through drills, but then to be able to get to the point where you start kind of choreographing your own numbers is impressive, and I know she's doing that. But not only did she choreograph her own numbers, she actually kind of created her own style and
She
her own
did.
steps, and it's like this is really true creativity at its peak and true talent. I mean, she did
It's
ballroom dancing, points. I mean, tell us more that what she did.
Well, she started out in Springfield, of course, in the local studios. And at that time, she learned acrobatic dancing, ballet, classical, and point work. And that's it.
Wow.
And they said they had something called buck and wing, but it wasn't really quite exactly what we know as tap. And she could have had a little bit of that, but she was focused on ballet. She loved classical. And so when she first was discovered, that's all she was doing. She didn't even know how to tap. And then when she went to New York and tried to get a job on Broadway, she found it very difficult because she didn't tap. And so we tell a story that I'm going to save for the event.
Okay.
And it's also in the book of how she learned to tap, which was really unique.
Yeah. And well, and you know what's unique for me and that excites me, and I know I want to talk more about the writing of the book too. But as you know, a dancer, like I danced at a studio in Springfield, you know, which opened in like the 1950s, and here
Mhm.
Eleanor was still dancing until the 60s, and she did one of her final dances in Springfield, Massachusetts. And of course, I was at the Marianne Studio of Dance, which this year celebrates 70 years of being in business, which is a very high honor. And here you have Eleanor who danced for what, 60 years of her life? Or she
Well, she
started.
she danced from I think her first, well, she started dancing at 6,
Yeah.
and then she became a movie star and stopped dancing for a while. Well, she would go out and do tours from time to time, but she had a big comeback in 1961, and then she danced in Las Vegas. She toured around the country. She went to Monaco, and she ended her career in Springfield, where it all began.
Yeah.
And that was in 1964. She was 51 at that time.
Oh wow.
And she did not dance professionally after that. Although
Wow.
she did dance
Yeah.
uh, for a benefit, but she didn't do professional work. She danced at Storoton,
Oh,
and a lot of people might remember the Storoton Music Fair.
yeah. I mean, Storeton is the home of the Eastern States Exposition, which is the Big E, and that
Hmm.
again is 2 miles from the studio. So,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
I mean, it's like this is. I feel like I'm right in Eleanor's, hometown here. I mean, so it's very exciting, and I can feel her spirit coming back to Springfield. I'm excited to see this presentation you're doing on May 28th, which I know you're also preparing to do it for the Chicago moving.
Picture show.
Thank you, moving picture.
It's the Columbus Moving Picture Show. And this is a film festival that happens every year in Columbus, Ohio. And we had been invited when our book came out a couple of years ago, but we couldn't make it. So this year, since I'm traveling across the country, it worked out. So I'll be presenting a seminar on Eleanor Powell. And it's basically the same thing
What you're
that I'm
doing
going to be
here in
presenting
Springfield.
in Springfield, except Springfield people will have more information about local things.
Yeah. So, okay, so let's get back to the writing. How long did it take you to write this biography? And when you're writing a biography, excuse me, what makes it different from, just writing a story about someone? Like, because I know you have to get the facts straight and the research. Can you talk a little bit about the writing process and being a
Mhm.
biographer?
So let me tell you, first of all, that when we started our project way back when, before she died, so it would be early 80s, we started doing our research, and we would go down to the libraries and pull out the trade magazines and newspapers and everything. And we did all that. And then, and we even got access to the legal files at MGM. So we were able to find information about the films because most of her films were at MGM. And so we had all this information. And then when she died, it was really hard to continue. We sort of lost um,
You lost
our
the vault.
we lost our mojo.
Yeah.
And
Oh, yeah.
so,
Good week.
and then I
Yeah.
moved to France. I was gone for so long. I moved to France, and during the pandemic, but I had saved all this information, everything that we had gotten from the files and all that. And Paula contacted me during the pandemic and said, I'm bored. Do you want to do something? Do you want to take up doing the book again? Do you want to? And I at first said I was working full time, and I said, no, I don't know that I can handle that. And then we talked about it some more, and then we said, yeah, this is actually the right time. So Paula lived in Los Angeles, and I lived in the Phoenix area at that time. And we decided to start everything from scratch. So all of the new, and everything is online now. And even better, because of the pandemic, more stuff was
So you
available.
started from scratch, but you still use your notes and things
Yes,
that,
we did, but so
which is a
many more
clue for
things were
writers, don't
available.
throw anything away.
Oh, no, 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 not after all that.
Yeah.
So we did a deep dive into everything that we could possibly do. We had access to interviews, of course, my personal experiences, but even when you know the person, you really have to verify the facts because they'd never remember things exactly the way they were. So we discovered a lot of things that were, urban legend, sort of.
Oh,
Everybody does it. It's
yeah,
not
yeah. Oh,
just
yeah.
her. So we had to verify that. And then one of the things that was really important to me was to present her not only as a dancer. We wanted to present her in her own unique form as a dancer, but we wanted to present her as a person too. And that's where the storytelling comes in because we didn't want to have a dry biography that, just full of facts, which we probably would have done had we done that years and years ago. But we wanted to get a sense of who she was. We wanted to get a sense of the time in which she lived. So we did a deep dive into everything that we could. She goes to Atlantic City as a child, well, as a preteen, and she's discovered there. And so we wanted to know what Atlantic City was at that time because it's totally different today. And we wanted to be able to present that and Broadway of the time and the studios to the readers today because they don't know.
Yeah.
And I think we managed to do it pretty well because people have made comments about it. And so that's what set it apart, I think, because we went the extra mile. It's always research, research, research,
Yeah,
no
yeah.
matter what you're writing about,
Did,
has to be
do you
accurate.
know the name of the studio that she first learned to take lessons in Springfield? That's
Yes. That's
what,
one of the things that we learned that was she had always said that she was at Ralph McKernan's dance studio. She always gave him credit, and she was at his studio, but she didn't mention before that she was at another studio called HP Lane. And strangely enough, they had classes at the same building on Worthington Street,
okay.
the same
Well,
address.
I'm just curious. I, want to kind of see if it was still around or something, but
No, no. I mean, Ralph McKernan died pretty young. She got her first show on Broadway, and she had sent him and his wife tickets, and he was supposed to come see the show, but he fell ill and he died, and he was only 35.
oh wow.
But a lot of people came out of his school. Robert Alton was a student. He went on to be a choreographer and do a lot on Broadway. And there were lots of people in Springfield who went down and worked on Broadway really regularly that we might not know their names, but they came out of the McKernan School.
That's exciting. Well, I went and danced at Steps on Broadway several times, so look at that. I'm from Springfield. Like nowhere like Eleanor Powell, man. So, you've written a book, you're going around, sharing the story of Eleanor Powell, letting people know, who she is, what she did. But you've also started like a YouTube channel and of course your, Facebook page to share all her amazing styles. But can you tell me a little bit about what the YouTube channel, like the kind of clips that you have on there for her? And I'll add the links here.
Yes, the YouTube channel is called Eleanor Powell Born to Dance, just like the book. And it's not the purpose of it is to regroup all of her clips in the same spot so people can find them easily. And also there's a lot floating out there on YouTube, but it's not always great quality. So we're trying to um, bring clips of the best quality that we can. And the Facebook group, also called Eleanor Powell Born to Dance, we
Love that
created
we're all
that.
the same name. It's very
Yeah,
important.
you can't really forget.
No, because I know some
So
authors who change the name sometimes and it's like just keep everything the same.
no, no, branding, branding. So we created the Facebook group. We have a page and a group. The private group, you just have to ask permission to join and, like any other group. And so we created that before the book was published, and it was a way to um, just get out the information about her. There are a lot of fans who are discovering her for the first time, and some people who have known her movies for years. There's a whole community of Golden Age Hollywood fans, the people who watch Turner Classic Movies, and
Well, and I know
there's,
you were recently on, a friend of mine has a podcast. I'll put his link in
Mhm.
too, G. Michael Dobbs, and he has
Yes,
syndicators because he does love the Golden Ages. He loves all that. So I know you were
yes,
recently on his podcast discussing this. So that's definitely
yes,
the audience, for
yeah,
that kind of thing for sure.
yes.
And writing this book, I have a question. Like, I know that you went to university presses in order to get this published. Like, when
Mhm.
when you when you presented it or when you pitched it to them, can you talk a little bit how you pitched it, and did they do fact checking on you to see, like, did you really, it's a biography, it's got to be, truthful.
So what we did was we did a book proposal and we submitted it to two university presses, Kentucky and Mississippi, and they're academic. So once they okay you and you submit your manuscript, they send it through peer review because it's academic. So we had three peer reviewers. So they have to say, yes, I recommend this, or no. And one person caught something that we had missed, and we were really grateful for that. So the thing is that nobody knows really as much as your subject if you deep dive like we did
Yeah.
as you do, except there are other people in their lives, and this person happened to know about Judy Garland. She made a movie that Judy Garland was in as a child, and this person mentioned something that we had forgotten or that we hadn't, thought of, and oh yes, thank you. So we're really grateful for that. So in that sense, yes, another person who's an expert in the field can contribute to your work or fact check your work, but that's as far as it goes.
Well, a biography, that it's a big deal to do a biography because you got to make sure you have, all your footnotes and, all of that. So kudos to you and Paula for doing that. I
Thank
know
you.
that you told me that you have something else on the burner, and you tell me you're gonna do another biography.
Yeah, so when we finished this, it was like, oof, I'm never doing anything else. But that changed pretty rapidly. Paula has gone on to write a book about the Nicholas brothers, very famous tap team. And that right now is in the works. And I am working on a biography of the actress Irene Dunn. She was successful in so many different genres, and nobody's written a really deep, in-depth biography on her. So I felt that it was time to do that. And I'm having fun doing the research and writing. I'm about halfway through right now.
I love that you just said I'm having fun, because
Mhm.
as writers, if we're not enjoying what we're doing, then, sometimes I say it's just not worth doing. You have to enjoy what you do. You have to be passionate about the stories you're telling. Obviously, I see the passion you have, behind Eleanor. It's a personal passion also.
Right.
And you yourself were a tap dancer. We didn't even
Yeah. Well, I was mostly ballet, but
okay. Um,
ballet and
but like,
jazz.
as dancers, we are passionate to share other dancers' stories. And,
Yes.
the fact that, you're jumping back into something else, which hopefully will take you less years than the Eleanor Powell story, because maybe you're, a little more distant from it. I don't know. But yeah, I think it's great. Do you have advice that you can give to someone who is working on a biography of someone, whether it's someone personal they know, or someone that they're admiring?
Um, Well, what you said about enjoying it, you have to love your subject. And for me, obviously, Eleanor Powell was a subject that I knew personally and loved.
Mm,
Irene Dunn, I met her once, but I didn't know her. So it's a completely different ball game. But think I have never written fiction, but I think it might be a little bit similar that you develop a character and you get to know that character and they come alive.
yeah.
Well, even if you don't know your subject of a biography, I think that person also becomes sort of real to you.
Oh, yeah.
And I guess my biggest advice is please get your facts right, because I have read things that like some pretty good biographies, and then I'll stumble off onto something that I know is wrong because I've found it out in my research regarding somebody else. And it's like, oh no, this is really wrong. How did you do this?
Yeah.
And I think it's important to tell a story, but to tell it correctly.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I have done fictional stories. I tend to write stories about, I want to say like people who have passed away, but I'm using them as
Mhm.
a fictional character. So the thing is, you have to be consistent with the character qualities that you create in a fictional character. But when you're doing a real character who once lived, you want to make sure that you have all of those I's dotted, T's crossed, and someone looks it
Yeah.
up, or like, she didn't dance at Mary Ann's, she danced at that studio. So
Hmm.
yeah. So all right, let's make people go out because I know they want to buy this book and read about it and not only learn about Eleanor Powell, but see the writing that you've done because it's a super great example. I mean, it's a super great book. That is a biography. So anyone looking to write a biography should read this. All right, so Lisa, tell my audience, I know they're excited to learn about Eleanor Powell, but more importantly, to read what you've written and find out what a biographer writes, because if someone's looking to write a biography, this is the book that would probably help guide them too. And it's a great book. So can you tell us where we can find this book, where we can buy it? And of course, if you're buying the book, leave a review.
Oh, yes, please. Of course, you can find it wherever books are sold, especially Amazon is probably the easiest. And there we would appreciate a review, of course.
Yeah.
But it's also sold from KentuckyPress.com, our publisher. It's part of their Screen Classics series. And a lot of times, well, twice a year, they do have promotions. So that's KentuckyPress.com. And then you can get it at Barnes and Noble and anywhere else.
Oh,
So
I'm taking a screenshot of us right now. How weird is that? I have to take my own screenshot. I'm like, man. So yeah, thank you, Lisa, so much for coming on the show. It's been such a pleasure meeting you. I look forward to seeing you on May 28th. I hope other people will be seeing you in the future. When you're doing more presentations and they can follow you on social media, which I'll put your links below. But I'm excited that Eleanor Powell's story is coming to Springfield, Massachusetts on May 28th. And I'm excited for the world to read this book and learn about her because, as a tap dancer, it's important to, I don't know, share the story of our feet.
it's true. It's important to know who came before you, too.
Yeah. Or I know
Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure being here.
you're very welcome. Thank you for coming on. And I want to thank you, the audience who each week tunes into this show. If you're watching this on local cable access, thank you. Thank you to Studio 954 for, helping me do this show and helping to do some editing. I have a great producer here, Les Tinsley. Thank you so much. And I want to thank everyone who is subscribing to the YouTube channel. If you're watching this streaming online, perhaps you are binge watching several episodes of yWrite. You. I appreciate it. And all the writers who have been on my show appreciate it. Support these writers. And if you're a writer and you're looking to be on the show, please contact me. I'd love to talk to you. And this is the point of the show where I usually and always have given a writing prompt. But today I am giving you something to watch. Yes, we have the clip. Lisa has given us the clip from the Broadway Melody of 1936, where Eleanor Powell is doing the finale. So it's about 2 minutes. And
You'll recognize the outfit.
so, this is your writing prompt is, perhaps you'll watch this and be inspired to write something. So enjoy this clip. Thank you for tuning into yWrite. I'm your host, Angela Grout. See you next time.